Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Pauline Baird. I'm a cultural bearer. That means I tell the stories of my culture and of my village, Buxton in Guyana. You see, a lot of people know about Buxton, but they don't really know Buxton, not the way I know Buxton. So I would like to tell them about Buxton. You see, I tell our family stories, our whispered histories, and our practice and sometimes hidden traditions. A couple of years ago, many years ago, over a decade ago, when I first lived in Japan, I got myself injured and I could not walk straight for a long time. And I could not get myself to a place where I could walk without pain. And that's the time when I longed for the village. I longed for the healers who can make me well. And so tonight I want to tell you the story about the people who heal. Now I want you to think about this. And Buxton people, you try to remember with me. You remember the time when you were jumping up and down the stairs, up, climbing up trees and jumping, and then your parents would say, don't jump up too much because you're going to get Narah. Yes, I'm going to talk about Narah. I don't know the origin of the word, but all I know is that people who overexert themselves get this condition where the abdominals or the abdomen got a problem. Maybe the bowel got tied up or strained or something. I'm not quite sure. But instead of going to the doctor, people sometimes go to these practitioners who heal them. And in the village, we have many such practitioners. One of the practitioners at the front side of the village near the Atlantic Ocean is a man named Babalu. I interviewed Babalu many years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and he told me how he was able to learn how to practice this healing. I've spoken to many people since. Mr. Ford, we call him Bayer Ford. It's a home I would go to, and I watched him, help people. And it appears as though this gift operates a certain way. So imagine a young girl or young man on Good Friday is going to receive a gift. This gift is not packaged with wrappings and bows. It's not even a container. It's something intangible. The gift is a prayer. Sometimes the prayer is whispered in the ear of the person who is supposed to receive this gift, and the gift goes on in generations. So imagine this young girl. She's got the gift, and she's got that gift that her mother had, that her grandmother had, and her great-grandmother had, and she's practicing in the village. Imagine another woman giving it to another young person who, by coincidence or not, is related to this family that has this tradition for generations. And I'm talking about Mami Fifi family. In the whole of Guyana and maybe many places in the world, people have come to know the name Mami Fifi. She is one of Buxton's iconic healers. She's long passed, God rest the dead, but she has given the gift to her family members and they're practicing it. So let's talk about how this thing is practiced. Now, you have to have certain utensils or certain instruments, and the first thing you have to have is a pointer. According to Mami Fifi's great-granddaughter, you get a pointer from a broom. What's a pointer for non-Guyanese? The coconut tree has leaves. The spine of those leaves is a reed, and this reed we call it a pointer. We make brooms with them. In every Guyanese house, perhaps, they have a pointer broom. Sometimes the reed could be like 3 feet or more in length, but they take this reed. The person has this extreme abdominal pain. They go to the healer. Let's say they go to Bayer Ford. Bayer Ford will bathe because he has to be clean. He said he would take a bath. Then he would check the person. Sometimes he would lay them out on the floor. He would measure from the belly button, the center there, to one nipple. Then he would go to the other nipple. If there's an unevenness in alignment, the person has Narah. The difference in length between the two measurements is the severity of the Narah. So you could have mild Narah and you could have severe Narah or bad Narah. So he would measure. But when he's measuring, he's whispering something. I asked him, what are you whispering? He said, he's praying. So he would pray. At some point, the practitioner would break this reed, this pointer, and then they would pray, and then they would blow the breath into the belly button area. They would throw away this broken reed. Then Mr. Ford would do some exercises on the person. These are special exercises. I wouldn't try to do them. I can only tell you I'm not that kind of doctor, and I'm not asking you to perform any kind of thing I said here tonight. These people have this gift. They have been doing this for generations. I don't have the gift. Mr. Ford would massage the back of the neck with oil. He would also massage here, the wrist, somewhere there, like the pulse area. And he would massage at the back of the leg, in the Achilles tendon area. He would keep doing that. And then he would measure again to see if he catch the Narah. They have certain words. You got to catch the Narah. Some other people don't do that. They would put oil on the person's body and they would gently move their fingers towards the belly button, not a massage. They say 19, like an anointing, and they would pull it towards the belly button area or something like that. I understand that technique is called hauling the Narah. So if you know the story, talk the story right. If I get it wrong, tell me. They haul the Narah. Some other people would also jerk. I don't know if it's Narah, but they would, jerk the person. There's so many different ways. But the thing that I experienced is what I'm going to tell you about when I was a child. So here we go. See this thing here? It's a cloth. It's not a handkerchief. It's a cloth. It's cotton. And they would get a piece of cotton. And you got to get some rice. This is not home economics. It's not cooking show. But this is how in the village people heal each other. They have the ethic of care and they have the touch of the healer. So they put the rice in the cloth, make a sack, and they tie it in some kind of way. This is, I imagine, they tie it like this because I experienced this sack here. And this sack is put on my belly button. You put on the belly button. And the healer would take coconut oil. This is coconut oil or some other oil and pour some on here. This thing on my belly button. And then they take the match and they light this thing afire. And the flame is there. Quickly they take the glass and put it over it like this on the belly button, and like magic this suction begins and it starts to pull the skin up into this cup. And as a child you're kind of scared, but you gotta lay still. And then it's there, but the fire goes out, thank God. And then you're there and this pulling. And then all of a sudden, after a while, it would relax and it would let go of your belly button skin from that area. And it's relaxed. Then the practitioner would measure again. And by this time, they could affirm that the Narah has gone. Mr. Ford would offer the person a cup of tea because according to Mommy Fifi granddaughter, great-granddaughter, sometimes you have wind Narah, and that because gas, in the abdomen or something of the sort. The question I had when I thought about Narah was, in this day and age with all of the technology and kids perhaps not playing outdoors as much, they're not jumping as much, maybe they're not getting Narah, what becomes of the practitioner? And when a Narah practitioner leaves the village, what does that loss do to the village? What does that do for the knowledge? Do people get Narah in America and Canada and England? And when they get Narah, who fixes the Narah? You see, when I had my kind of Narah thing, I couldn't find a practitioner. But my Japanese teacher found a person to come and fix me. And this person did something similar to Narah. They had a fire and they had something else and they put it on my back. And it fixed me. I didn't go to the doctor. And in 3 days, I could get up and walk. Or before 3 days. They were supposed to do it twice, but I only had one treatment and I was done. So it seems as though people around the world have similar kinds of practices. So if you're not Guyanese or Buxtonian and you have a practice like this, let us know. We could talk. And for those of you who are Guyanese, tell me your Narah stories. Let's compare them. Narah is a practice that to me should be treasured. And I do treasure our Narah practitioners. Hats off to you. Good night and walk good.